The ping of my email notification cuts through the morning quiet of my Chicago penthouse. I flinch, spilling coffee onto the quarterly M&A report spread across my glass desk. These days, that sound holds the same warning as a rattlesnake's tail, another family ambush disguised as casual communication. I reach for my phone with steady hands that betray none of the tension building in my shoulders. The screen lights up with the sender's name, Heather Walker, my sister, the golden child. Save the date, annual Walker Family Lake reunion. My jaw tightens as I scan the message. The words seem innocent enough until I reach the knife twist at the end. Hope you can make it this year. We know how busy you get with your little corporate projects. Little corporate projects. The $320 million acquisition I orchestrated last quarter, condensed into 3 patronizing words. The restructuring that saved 800 jobs in the Midwest, dismissed like a child's art project hung on a refrigerator door. I don't slam my coffee mug down. I don't throw away my phone. Instead, I screenshot the email, my thumb pressing harder than necessary against the screen. The family's digital paper trail grows longer every year, a museum of casual cruelty I've cataloged with the same precision I bring to my boardroom strategies. My reflection stares back at me from the black laptop screen, composed, professional, unreadable. Behind me hangs my Wharton MBA diploma, gathering a thin film of dust in its mahogany frame. Mom and Dad had been too busy to attend the ceremony. Heather's law school graduation, however, warranted renting a 12-passenger van to transport extended family members across 3 states. I opened the Walker family group chat. 47 new messages since yesterday, bubbling with reunion planning details, potato salad recipes, boat rental options, sleeping arrangements. Not one message directed to me, though I remain stubbornly in the chat, a digital ghost they've learned to talk around. 6 years of this pattern, each slight building upon the last, the forgotten invitations to Christmas dinner. The dismissive comments about my phase in corporate America, as if dismantling and rebuilding failing companies were some hobby I'd eventually outgrow. The countless times I'd rearranged international calls to make family events, only to arrive and find myself relegated to background character in the ongoing drama of Heather's legal career and Logan's startup failures. My phone buzzes again. Logan, this time. Hey sis, can you bring those fancy cocktail things you made last time, the ones with the weird alcohol? Not, will you be there? Not, we missed you. Just an assumption I'll provide specialty bourbon cocktails without acknowledgement. I type back, Saint Germain spritzers. I'll bring the ingredients. No enthusiasm, no excuses, just facts, my specialty. The family chat explodes with new messages as I set my phone down. Dad's bringing his fishing gear. Mom wants help cleaning the deck furniture. Heather's husband is smoking a brisket. The reunion takes shape message by message, a Norman Rockwell painting constructed around my absence. I stand, walking to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Millennium Park. Morning sun glints off Cloud Gate in the distance, the massive silver beam warping reflections of the city skyline. 36 floors up. The world seems orderly, rational, manageable. I press my palm against the cool glass, leaving a perfect handprint, 5 fingers splayed like the branches of a family tree, slowly fading as the heat dissipates. My desk calendar shows today's date circled in red. 28 days until the Walker family reunion at Lake Orion. 28 days before they'd discover exactly how serious my little corporate projects had become. The kitchen clock reads 7:15 a.m., time for my morning conference call with Tokyo. I straighten my blouse, smooth my hair, and settle back at my desk. The woman who appears on the video screen gives no hint of family drama, all crisp professionalism and incisive questions. Camille, great news on the Westridge acquisition. The board is impressed with how cleanly you structured the deal, says Thomas, my boss and the closest thing I have to a professional mentor. Thank you. The tax implications were tricky, but we found a workaround using a shell company structure. The words trigger something in my brain, A shell company. Property acquisition. Tax implications. I reach for my tablet, opening a browser window while nodding at whatever Thomas is saying about quarterly projections. My fingers type automatically, Lake Orion property tax records. The county database loads slowly, each pixel crawling across the screen. I click through to the Walker family lake house address, the summer home Dad inherited from his parents, the backdrop for 30 years of family memories, most of them excluding me. Property status, tax delinquent, warning of foreclosure sale. The words swim before my eyes as Thomas drones on about market positioning, 3 months of unpaid property taxes, foreclosure proceedings initiated, estimated auction date, 21 days from today. My family doesn't know. They can't know, or they'd be panicking in the group chat instead of debating fishing spots and menu plans. The Lake Orion house, the crown jewel of Walker family history, is about to be sold out from under them. A smile curves my lips, small and dangerous. Camille, do you agree with the timeline? Thomas's voice cuts through my thoughts. Absolutely, I reply, toggling back to the video call. Though I might need to take some personal time in the coming weeks, a family matter requires my attention. I had no idea that Heather's patronizing little email would be the last time she'd get to exclude me from anything. In 28 days, everything will change. 12 hours after that email, at 2:30 a.m. in my Millennium Park high-rise, sleep remains an elusive stranger. The Chicago skyline glitters through floor-to-ceiling windows, a constellation of artificial stars keeping me company in my solitude. I scroll through family photos on my phone, organized in neat albums categorized by year. My finger stops on one particular image, Heather's law school graduation. Mom and Dad flanking her in matching cream outfits, pride radiating from their faces. I swipe right, Logan's app launch party, all of them raising champagne flutes to his third failed startup. Another swipe. An empty seat at my VP promotion dinner, captured by my assistant before I asked her to put her phone away. They didn't want to impose on my busy schedule. The excuse still burns in my throat. The screen illuminates my face in the darkness as I continue this digital autopsy of family history. 3 years ago, when I lost the baby at 11 weeks, Heather sent an email with legal resources about workplace stress claims. Mom shipped a potted plant to my office. Dad called once, asking if I needed time off, his voice uncomfortable with emotion. I open my notes app, scrolling to a document titled Family Reciprocity. The list stretches endlessly downward. 6 years of birthday gifts, each meticulously selected based on preferences they mentioned in passing. Reciprocation count, 0. Minus $8,000 in emergency loans to Logan, repayment amount, $0. Professional references for 17 family friends, acknowledgements, 0. 13 international flights rescheduled to attend family events. Genuine gratitude expressed, 0. The precision of my accounting should embarrass me, but at 3:15 a.m., standing in my marble bathroom with cold tile beneath my feet, embarrassment feels like a luxury I can no longer afford. I splash water on my face and stare at my reflection, eyes hollow, jaw tight. Is this really where 36 years of excellence had led? A woman who could negotiate billion-dollar mergers but couldn't earn basic respect from her own siblings? The question hangs in the air, unanswered by the expensive silence of my apartment. My phone reads 4:07 a.m. when I finally call Savannah. The connection crackles with 12 time zones between us, Chicago darkness to Singapore daylight. You're calling me during your sleep time, she answers without greeting, which means either another impossible acquisition or family drama. I've been thinking about that lake house, I say, switching to the speaker and setting the phone on my nightstand. Remember I told you about my grandparents' place at Lake Orion? The summer house shrine your family won't let you contribute to renovating? The one with the dock you rebuilt as a teenager and they still call it Robert's project? I pull my laptop closer, fingers tapping against the keyboard. The county tax database loads with painful slowness. What if I told you the Walker family lake house is 3 months behind on property taxes and facing foreclosure? Savannah's laugh bounces across continents. I'd say karma has exquisite timing. How did you even discover this? County records are public. I got curious after Heather's patronizing email about the reunion. The property status glows on my screen. Tax delinquent. Warning of foreclosure sale. Estimated auction date stares back at 21 days from now. So what are you going to do? Bail them out anonymously like always? Savannah asks. I reach for a legal pad, uncapping a pen with my teeth. My handwriting forms clean, orderly rows. Liquid assets available. $340,000. Property value. Current. $1.2 million. Listing price. Foreclosure. $880,000. Deferred maintenance. Estimated. $190,000. Cam? Are you still there? I cap the pen, setting it down with deliberate precision. I'm establishing a shell company tomorrow. North Point Holdings LLC. The foreclosure auction is in 21 days. 21 days until tax sale auction, Savannah echoes. 21 days to decide whether to save them from their negligence or let them lose the family legacy. I'm not letting them lose anything, I say, voice steady as Lake Orion on a windless morning. I'm claiming what should have been appreciated all along. Silence stretches between continents. This isn't like your other family rescue operations, Savannah finally says. This is nuclear. No, this is business. The words taste unfamiliar applied to family matters, but satisfying nonetheless. They devalued an asset. I'm recognizing its potential. By sunrise, I've reviewed every property record, foreclosure timeline, and renovation estimate. My finger hovers over my phone screen before tapping out a message to my corporate attorney. Need Shell LLC established by end of business today. Property acquisition in Michigan. Morning light pours through my windows as I sip coffee, surrounded by printouts of county tax records. The decision crystallizes with each passing minute. They wanted to treat me like an outsider? Fine. I'd show them what an outsider with resources could accomplish. The Lake Orion house, the backdrop for 30 years of memories that somehow always excluded me, would soon have a new owner. And unlike the Walkers, I wouldn't neglect what I valued. My phone pings with another family group chat notification. I swipe it away without reading. Some messages didn't deserve a response. Some slights required more than words to address. 7 days after establishing North Point Holdings LLC, I turned onto the familiar gravel driveway of the Walker family lake house. The distinctive crunch under my Porsche Taycan's tires announces wealth approaching neglect. Each stone popping beneath German engineering sounds like small vindications. I park where Dad always insisted we leave space for Heather's car. My space now. The lake house stands like a faded photograph against the Michigan summer sky, peeling white paint curling away from weathered siding, wooden dock listing dangerously to one side. A single rotten board has collapsed into the water. Even the flower beds have surrendered to encroaching weeds, their borders blurred by years of minimal care. They let it rot while planning reunions and posting nostalgic photos. I pull a leather portfolio from my passenger seat and walk toward the front porch steps, which creak under my weight in precisely the same spots they did when I was 12. Some things never change. Until they do. Miss Walker? A woman in work boots and crisp button-down steps from around the side of the house. Rosa Martinez, your attorney recommended me. Her handshake is firm, calloused, a contractor's grip. The place looks worse than the listing photos, I say. Rosa nods, pulling a tablet from her back pocket. Your family let this place rot, but good bones underneath. We can make it spectacular. We walk the property perimeter. Rosa points out structural issues with practiced efficiency, roof damage above the sunroom, HVAC system running on borrowed time, deck supports compromised by water damage. Full renovation in 3 weeks, I say, not a question. Rosa stops walking. Possible, but expensive. Are you sure about this timeline? Family reunion cannot wait. I need it completed before then. Rosa studies my face, understanding dawning in her eyes. She's handled renovations for other family property disputes, she tells me. Sometimes loving something means taking it away from people who don't appreciate it. I'll get you the estimate by the end of day, she says, and I know I've found the right person. Inside, the house smells of damp wood and forgotten summers. The foreclosure attorney meets us in what was once our family room, his briefcase open on a water-stained coffee table. Purchase price is $880,000 plus $35,000 in back taxes, he explains, sliding documents across the table. You're sure about the shell company approach? Your family won't know you're the buyer until you choose to reveal it. That's the point, I say, signing where indicated. The pen feels heavy, each signature transferring not just ownership but years of family history. The deed to our childhood memories, legally mine for the price of a wire transfer. Rosa returns with contractor estimates while I'm completing the paperwork. $190,000 for roof, HVAC, and structural repairs. I authorize the full renovation plan without hesitation. $1.1 million. Total investment. Things are going to get pretty bad when your family discovers the tax sale, if they're even paying attention to legal notices. The attorney says, closing his briefcase, though most people don't monitor county records. They don't monitor property taxes either, apparently, I reply. After they leave, I walk through empty rooms where family photos once hung. In my old bedroom, I kneel beside the loose floorboard where 12-year-old Camille hid treasures from Heather's prying eyes. Beneath the warped wood, my fingertips find a small brass key spare for my bedroom window that allowed teenage escapes to the dock after curfew. I consider leaving it where it's rested for 20 years, then pocket it instead. Some doors I should be able to open now. My phone buzzes with a text from Logan. Hey sis, wondering if you're bringing your famous cocktails to the reunion? Also, did Dad talk to you about the dock repair? Thinking we should split costs. I don't respond. They still have no idea their negligence has cost them ownership. Rosa returns as sunset spreads orange fire across the lake. She finds me standing on the damaged dock, watching small waves lap against the pilings. First thing we'll replace, she says, nudging a rotten board with her boot. This is dangerous. Have your crew start tomorrow. I want daily progress reports, whatever it costs to meet the deadline. Rosa nods, then hesitates. Family property is complicated. I've seen renovations heal rifts and create them. Which are you aiming for? The question hangs between us, like the evening mist rising from the water. I insert my childhood key into the lock of the dock storage box. It sticks, requiring gentle jiggling before turning. Even childhood memories need updating. Healing requires acknowledgement of the wound first, I say finally. The storage box opens to reveal fishing equipment covered in cobwebs. Dad's tackle box, Logan's first rod. And sometimes, I continue, closing the box with a decisive click, the only way to be seen is to change the view. 3 weeks into the renovation, with 4 days until the reunion, I stood in the empty shell of what used to be the Walker family living room. The persistent rhythm of hammers pounding against the new cedar deck outside provided a perfect backdrop to my racing thoughts. Too much to do, not enough time. Miss Walker? Rosa's voice cut through my contemplation. We have a problem. I turned to face my contractor, her usually confident expression now tinged with concern. The renovation maestro, who had somehow managed to orchestrate a complete property transformation in an impossible timeframe, now looked worried. The storm last night damaged the tarp covering the east section. Water got into the attic insulation. We need to replace it before we can finish the roof. I checked my watch. How long? 48 hours, minimum. Rosa's shoulders squared, preparing for my reaction. I've already called in an extra crew, but... My phone buzzed in my pocket. Logan. I held up a finger to Rosa and answered. Hey sis. Logan's voice held that casual tone he used when about to ask for something. Quick question. Dad mentioned something about an LLC buying property near the lake. You know anything about that? My fingers tightened around the phone. Why would I know about real estate transactions in Michigan? I don't know. You're the corporate person. Thought maybe your bank handled it or something. I watched Rosa direct her crew through the window, her efficient gestures contrasting with my brother's eternal carelessness. Sorry, can't help you. Have you tried asking the family attorney? Yeah, but Heather said. He paused. Never mind. Hey, you're still bringing those drinks, right? The ones with the weird liquor? Saint Germain. I corrected automatically. Yes, I'll bring everything. After ending the call, I pocketed the phone and walked to the center of the gutted living room. The old floral wallpaper had been stripped away, revealing bare studs and fresh wiring. The hammering outside intensified, drowning out the voice in my head that whispered, "This might be a terrible mistake." "Is this actually worth it?" I murmured to the empty room. Rosa returned, clipboard in hand. "Having second thoughts?" "Just wondering if all this I gestured around us will actually change anything that matters." She studied me, head tilted slightly. "You know, I've done renovations for plenty of family disputes. Sisters fighting over grandmother's house. Brothers trying to prove who's more successful." She tapped her pencil against the clipboard. "The house never fixes the real problem." "I'm not trying to fix my family." "Aren't you?" Rosa's eyebrows rose slightly. The hammering paused momentarily, leaving a silence that felt accusatory. "I'm reclaiming something they didn't value," I said finally. "There's a difference." Rosa nodded, not quite convinced. "The new smart home system arrived. Want to learn how it works?" For the next 2 hours, Rosa walked me through every component of the house's new technology backbone. Lighting controls, climate settings, security protocols. Each system is more sophisticated than anything my technology-averse parents would have chosen. "You own it. You should understand it," Rosa explained, handing me the master tablet. "Power means knowing what you control." That night, after Rosa and her crew left, I stayed behind. The house creaked and settled around me, unfamiliar in its half-transformed state. I practiced with the espresso machine installed that morning, calibrating the perfect cup. Imagining the family's faces when they discovered their beloved but neglected summer home transformed into something they couldn't recognize. While waiting for the machine to heat, I discovered a water-damaged photograph wedged behind a baseboard. My parents, Heather, Logan, and me at the lake nearly 20 years ago. Dad taught Logan to fish while Mom adjusted Heather's life jacket. I stood off to the side, already nose-deep in a business textbook even then. My fingers trembled slightly as I traced our younger faces. For a brief, disorienting moment, I considered calling the whole thing off. Letting them have their reunion in their shabby, foreclosed-upon house. Maybe they'd learn the lesson without my intervention. Second thoughts? Rosa stood in the doorway, startling me. She'd returned for her forgotten toolbox. I slipped the photo into the kitchen drawer, just saving it for perspective. Smart. She picked up her toolbox. "We'll finish on time, I promise." The following afternoon, Rosa led me through the final inspection. The transformation was breathtaking, weathered siding replaced with architectural stone and cedar. Creaky floors swapped for hand-scraped hardwood. The ancient kitchen now gleamed with professional-grade appliances and quartz countertops. "Miss Walker?" An older man approached as we stood on the new deck. He extended his hand. "Bill Connors. I own the hardware store in town. Just wanted to introduce myself to whoever bought the Walker place." He whistled low, looking at the renovation. "Whoever bought this property sure knew what they were doing." I smiled, shaking his hand. "Thank you." My phone pinged with a bank notification. Property assessment after renovation. $1.4 million. A $300,000 equity gain in 3 weeks. If you've ever spent 6 figures proving a point to people who dismissed you, you know exactly how those sparkling granite countertops felt. Not just renovation vindication. After Bill left, I settled into one of the new Adirondack chairs on the deck, watching the sunset paint the lake golden. My phone buzzed with a text from Heather. Looking forward to tomorrow. Dad's bringing his famous grilled salmon, Mom's making her potato salad. Can't wait to see the old place again. I typed a response but didn't send it. You have no idea what you're about to see. Instead, I set my phone down and listened to the silence where hammers had been pounding all week, the quiet before my own personal storm. 6 hours before family arrival, I stand in my completely transformed childhood home. The scent of fresh paint and new hardwood floors has replaced the musty lake house smell I grew up with. Morning light floods through the new floor-to-ceiling windows, revealing a home that looks nothing like the Walker family property, but feels exactly like my victory. This isn't just renovation, Cam. Savannah's voice breaks through my thoughts as she wheels her overnight bag into the great room. This is a statement. The soft whoosh of the new HVAC system creates a gentle background hum, luxury breathing through what was once neglected. I've been hearing that sound for 3 weeks, but today it carries the weight of anticipation. Statement or suicide mission? I ask, checking my watch. 6 hours until they discover what I've done. Savannah drops her bag and crosses to the kitchen island, running her hand over the cool granite. Both, probably, but you've faced worse odds in the boardroom. She isn't wrong. I've stared down CEOs twice my age across mahogany conference tables, dissected billion-dollar companies until they revealed their weaknesses. But family has always been my blind spot. Coffee? I ask, moving toward the espresso machine that cost more than Logan's first car. Please. Then we walk through exactly how this confrontation goes. The machine purrs under my touch, warming up as I measure perfectly calibrated grounds. My fingers work the controls with practiced precision, a small skill acquired over the past week. The house has become my territory, each new feature mastered, each system under my command. By 6 a.m., we're power walking the lake perimeter. Morning mist hovers above the water, breaking only where occasional fish breach the surface. Our breath clouds in the early chill. When Heather makes the first snide comment, Savannah pants beside me. You stay silent for 3 seconds, then respond with what? Facts only, I reply, lengthening my stride up the small incline. No emotion. And when your father demands explanations? I show him the deed. Let the paperwork speak. Savannah grabs my arm, stopping our progress. Look at me, Camille. I turn, breath still coming fast from exertion. These people have dismissed you for years. They've trained themselves not to see your power. When they panic, and they will panic resist the urge to comfort them. I'm not here to comfort them. Yes, but it's your default setting with family. You fix things for them. The accusation lands like a slap. She's right, of course. 6 years of financial bailouts for Logan. Legal research for Heather when she needed precedent cases. Tax advice for Dad when his accountant missed deductions. Not anymore, I say, resuming our walk. Back at the house, we stand before the bathroom mirror, Savannah behind me as I apply minimal makeup. My navy wrap dress, a power color I've worn for every major deal closing, hangs on the door. 4 hours, I murmur, watching my reflection. 4 hours until they use their old keys on new locks. Savannah notices something on my keychain resting on the marble countertop. She picks it up, turning the small brass key between her fingers. That's not from the new locks. No, I confirm. It's from when this was theirs, now it's mine. She places it back in my palm, closing my fingers around it. Keep it visible. Let them see you hold the keys to their memories. The morning passes in tactical preparation. We program the smart home system, adjusting lighting scenarios for maximum impact. Savannah tests the security cameras while I verify the catering delivery for tomorrow's formal dinner, the real reunion I've planned at the Four Seasons Detroit. My phone buzzes with Logan's name. Unexpected early arrival, I tell Savannah before answering. Logan. Hey, His voice comes through, casual as always. "We're driving up tonight instead of tomorrow. Hope that's okay." My pulse quickens, but my voice remains steady. "Actually, that doesn't work. Tomorrow as planned. I'll text you the address." A pause. "The address? What address? We know where the lake house is, Cam." "Tomorrow, Logan, 10 a.m. sharp." I end the call before he can respond. Savannah raises an eyebrow. That was cold. Those were boundaries. "Fair." She points to the security tablet. "When they arrive tomorrow, let them try the old keys first. Let them experience the moment of realization slowly." I nod, imagining the scene. My family standing confused on the porch, keys that no longer work, confronting the physical manifestation of their exclusion. "Smart doorbell is ready," Savannah announces, testing the system. The tablet screen displays the front porch view. "Now practice your entrance." I position myself by the door while she steps outside to ring the bell. The house system announces in a pleasant but impersonal tone, "Welcome to North Point Holdings." Too robotic, I call through the door. "Let me adjust it." I reprogram the system, recording my own voice. "Welcome to North Point Holdings. Please wait to be admitted." Savannah tests it again, giving me a thumbs up through the security camera. I practice my composed expression 3 times before she's satisfied. "Perfect," she says, coming back inside. "Now, a backup plan. If this goes nuclear, what's your exit strategy?" "4 seasons reservations confirmed," I replied. 5 rooms on standby." "Are you expecting them to stay?" I shrug, leaving options open. They'll either want to talk this through or flee in humiliation. We spend the afternoon rehearsing responses to potential reactions. Savannah plays each family member with unsettling accuracy, throwing the worst possible comments at me until my responses become automatic, measured, and most importantly unemotional. By evening, I'm exhausted but ready. We sat on the new deck, watching sunset paint the lake copper and gold. "Second thoughts?" Savannah asks, noticing my distant expression. I turn the childhood bedroom key over in my palm, feeling its familiar weight and edges. Not second thoughts, just calibrating expectations. "Meaning?" "Meaning I've prepared for their anger, their shock, their accusations. I close my fingers around the key, but I haven't prepared for their hurt." Savannah sips her wine. "Their hurt is not your responsibility." I know that intellectually. But emotionally? I don't answer, watching a heron glide across the darkening water. "Listen to me," she says. "Tomorrow isn't about punishing them. It's about reclaiming your worth. Their feelings about that are their burden, not yours." The security lights activate automatically as darkness falls, illuminating the pristine landscaping and repaired dock. The house behind Usme House stands ready like a stage set for tomorrow's performance. I once negotiated a hostile takeover while having a miscarriage. I say quietly, "My family sent a plant instead of visiting. If I could handle that day, I can handle tomorrow." Savannah reaches over, squeezes my hand once, then lets go. She knows me well enough to recognize when I need space for my thoughts. Tomorrow morning, this lakefront property will become the backdrop for a long overdue reckoning. The Walker family reunion will proceed, just not in the way they've planned. And I will finally be seen. The morning of reunion day arrived with sharp clarity. I stood at the kitchen window, coffee warming my palm, watching Dad's Buick pull into the renovated driveway. The tires crunched over fresh gravel, a sound I'd deliberately upgraded from the mud pit that had marked their neglect. "They're here," Savannah said, appearing at my shoulder. "Ready?" My heartbeat quickened, but my hand remained steady on the mug. Mom emerged first, potato salad cradled in her arms like a newborn. Heather followed, sunglasses pushed into her perfect blowout, directing Logan where to place the coolers. Dad's fishing gear poked from the trunk like forgotten antennae. Notice anything? I murmured to Savannah. Besides the fact that they brought enough food for a week when they think they own the place? No. Not one of them has registered the new landscaping. The cedar shake siding, the replaced dock. I took a measured sip. Selective vision runs in the family. The doorbell didn't ring. Instead, I heard the familiar sound that Rosa had predicted, the frustrated jiggling of old keys that no longer fit new locks. The metallic scraping carried through the house like discordant wind chimes. What the hell? Logan's voice traveled through the new security intercom I'd had installed. Maybe it's the wrong key, Heather suggested, authority coding her words. I've been using this key for 30 years, Dad replied. His voice contained more confusion than anger. Savannah squeezed my elbow. Your moment. The security display showed them clustered on the front porch. Dad had pressed his face close to the door, peering through the sidelight windows at the transformed interior. Hello? He called through the intercom. The keys aren't working. Is someone inside? The question that had motivated a $1 million purchase. My planned opening line dissolved as I watched their genuine confusion. Mom shifted the potato salad to her hip, looking unsettled. Logan paced the width of the porch, still attempting his key in the deadbolt. Heather's brow furrowed as she studied the new security panel. What if this just makes me look petty rather than powerful? The thought ambushed me, an old insecurity rising like lake water after a storm. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am just making too big a deal of this. My hand hovered over the door handle. 30 seconds until I either open this door as the owner or let them think it's some mistake they can fix. My fingers closed around the childhood bedroom key in my pocket, the one thing unchanged in this transaction. Its familiar weight grounded me. I'd kept this key through 6 moves, through college and business school, through promotions and heartbreaks. They'd never asked for it back. Never noticed I still had access to a space they thought was theirs alone. I took a deep breath and straightened my cream-wrap dress. One nod to Savannah, and I opened the door with a composed smile. Welcome to my house, I said. Come in, the espresso machine just finished calibrating. 4 expressions of identical shock greeted me. Mom's mouth opened and closed without sound. Dad blinked rapidly, taking in the marble entryway that had replaced worn carpeting. This looks different, Mom finally managed, clutching her potato salad closer. Why wouldn't our keys work? Dad asked, still holding his useless key like a broken compass. I stepped back, inviting them inside with a sweep of my arm. New locks. New everything, actually. Logan stepped over the threshold first, gawking at the smart home displays recessed into the wall where family photos once hung. Whose place is this? Camille, Heather said, lawyer instincts engaging as her eyes darted around the space, cataloging changes. What's going on here? Instead of answering, I walked to the kitchen island Italian granite where laminate once peeled and placed a folder on the countertop with deliberate calm. The deed certificate lay inside, crisp and official. Coffee? I asked, moving to the professional-grade espresso machine that now dominated the kitchen corner. Or perhaps something stronger? The wine cellar is stocked with selections from Napa and Bordeaux. Wine cellar? Dad repeated. There was never. There is now, I interrupted, watching his eyes track to the new staircase leading to the previously unfinished basement. Silence stretched between us like a tightrope. I busied myself with coffee preparations, allowing the precision of measuring grounds to steady my racing heart. The rhythmic whir of the grinder filled the quiet. Camille. Mom's voice trembled slightly. Whose house is this now? I pulled out my phone, calling up the title deed with a few practice taps. North Point Holdings LLC. I turned the screen toward them. Purchased at tax sale 3 weeks ago. Tax sale? Dad's complexion paled to the shade of the quartz countertops. I nodded. The property was 3 months behind on taxes, facing foreclosure. That's impossible, Heather countered. We would have received notices. To which address? I asked mildly. The lake house that nobody visited for 8 months? Or perhaps your office, where legal mail sits with your assistant while you're in court? Logan had wandered into the living room, running his fingers along the new furniture. "You bought our lake house?" he whispered, his voice echoing off the vaulted ceiling I'd had installed. "It's not our lake house anymore," I said, pushing a perfect espresso across the counter toward Mom, who accepted it automatically, her eyes never leaving my face. The absurdity of serving coffee during this moment of shock wasn't lost on me. "But how?" Mom asked, her potato salad now forgotten on the counter. "I established a shell company, participated in the tax foreclosure auction. I lifted my own espresso cup. Standard acquisition strategy. Nothing you wouldn't learn in the first year of business school." I watched them process this information. Dad's shoulders slumped, Heather's jaw tightened, Logan's eyes widened, and Mom's hand trembled against her cup. "You could have told us," Heather finally said. "We could have paid the taxes." "Could you?" I raised an eyebrow. "With what? Your firm's struggling. Logan's startup is burning through investors' money. Mom and Dad are on fixed income. Who exactly was going to find $35,000 in back taxes?" "You could have loaned it to us," Dad protested. "Like the $8,000 I loaned to Logan 3 years ago?" I asked. "Still waiting on that repayment." Logan had the decency to look away. "Why?" Mom asked. The single word carried decades of misunderstanding. I set my cup down. "I think a better question is why you let it get to this point. Why a place with so many precious family memories wasn't worth keeping current on taxes." "We've been struggling," Dad admitted. "Medical bills, Heather's firm expansion, little corporate projects. I finished for him. Like mine." Realization dawned on Heather's face first. "The email," she whispered. I nodded. "Sometimes little corporate projects involve real estate acquisitions." Mom sank onto one of the new bar stools. "What happens now?" I glanced at Savannah, who gave me an encouraging nod. "That," I said, picking up my phone, "depends entirely on how the next conversation goes. I've reserved the Four Seasons Grand Ballroom for this evening. Consider it the alternate reunion venue. 7 o'clock, formal attire." "You're kicking us out of our," Logan began. I corrected. "My house. And no, I'm inviting you to dinner, to discuss terms." Dad's face hardened. "Terms for what?" "For how this family moves forward." I met his gaze without flinching. "Bring your appetites, leave your assumptions at home." 24 hours after the family's stunned retreat to a nearby hotel, I stood in the Four Seasons Grand Ballroom in Detroit, adjusting a place card at the head of the mahogany table. The pristine white tablecloth stretched 20 feet, accommodating 16 settings with gleaming silverware and hand-calligraphed name cards. Crystal glasses caught the light from the chandeliers overhead, their soft chimes punctuating the staff's final preparations. "Is the champagne chilled to exactly 42 degrees?" I asked the sommelier. "Yes, Miss Walker. Veuve Clicquot 2008, as requested." I nodded, smoothing my emerald wrap dress, the one I'd purchased after closing the Harrington deal last year. The fabric whispered against my skin, a reminder of the weight I'd dropped during those 18-hour workdays. Across the room, Savannah greeted the first of my colleagues to arrive, her laughter floating above the quiet bustle of the waitstaff. My phone vibrated. "Heather. We're 15 minutes out. Logan's driving like a turtle because he can't find the entrance." "The valet will direct you," I replied, my voice steady despite the thundering in my chest. "Cocktail hour begins in 20 minutes. I ended the call before she could respond. The screen flashed with a message from Thomas. "Congratulations again on Vancouver. Team will miss you." My promotion notification had hit the company email that morning. Regional Director for North American Operations, Vancouver Division. A corner office overlooking the harbor, double my current salary, and equity options that would make even Dad's attorney friends stammer. "They just pulled up," Savannah said, appearing at my elbow with 2 flutes of champagne. "Are you ready for this?" I accepted the glass, taking a measured sip. I've been ready for 6 years. The ballroom doors opened. Mom entered first, her casual khaki capris and Lake Orion t-shirt jarring against the formal setting. Dad followed in his fishing hat and plaid button-down. Behind them came Heather in white jeans and a navy blouse, her husband Mark looking uncomfortable in wrinkled chinos. Logan brought up the rear, his startup hoodie hanging open over a faded concert t-shirt. 5 casual walkers frozen in the doorway of a formal corporate dinner. The crystal in my hand caught the light, sending prisms dancing across the tablecloth. The silence stretched until Mom's voice cracked it. "Camille? What is all this?" I approached them, heels clicking against marble. "Welcome to our expanded family reunion." Dad's eyes darted around the room, landing on familiar faces from Business Journal's Me Boss Thomas, 2 board members from Kenslow International, and the M&A editor from the Wall Street Journal who'd profiled my Westridge acquisition. "You brought work people to a family reunion?" Logan's voice cracked, betraying the confidence his hoodie tried to project. "I brought my actual support system to meet the people who share my DNA." I gestured toward the table. "Please, find your seats. We've been waiting." The clinking of crystal glasses filled the awkward silence as my family shuffled toward the table. At each place setting lay a copy of yesterday's Wall Street Journal, open to the business section where my full-page feature appeared under the headline, "Deal Architect of the Midwest. How Camille Walker Transformed Kenslow's Acquisition Strategy." Mom picked up her copy, eyes widening as she scanned the article. Camille Walker led 3 major acquisitions totaling over $1.2 billion in combined value, establishing herself as one of the youngest female executives too. Her voice trailed off as she flipped the page. "There's a whole section about your strategy." "Little corporate projects," I said, the words floating between us like ice cubes in crystal. Heather flinched. The sommelier approached, pouring champagne for everyone as the first course arrived, tiny porcelain spoons holding caviar with crème fraîche. Logan stared at his spoon like it might bite him. "So," Dad cleared his throat, "when were you going to tell us about buying the lake house? When were you going to tell me about the foreclosure?" The table fell silent. Mom's spoon clattered against her plate. "We didn't know," she whispered. "That's the problem," I replied, my voice low but carrying across the table. "You don't know because you don't ask. You don't know I've led billion-dollar deals. You don't know I've been promoted 5 times in 6 years. You don't know I speak at industry conferences. You don't know because Camille's little corporate projects weren't worth your attention." Thomas raised his glass. "To Camille's Vancouver promotion. Our loss is Canada's gain." My colleagues joined the toast while my family sat motionless, champagne untouched. "Vancouver?" Dad's voice cracked. "Regional Director, North American Operations," Savannah supplied helpfully. "Corner office overlooking the harbor. They've been recruiting her for months." "You're moving to Canada?" Heather's lawyer brain finally engaged, processing implications. "What about the lake house?" "What about it?" I sipped my champagne. "You just spent a fortune renovating it." "I did." "For what? To take it away from us and then abandon it?" The anger that had simmered for 6 years bubbled up, not in a boil but in cold, clear precision. "I didn't take anything from you. You lost it through neglect. Through assuming someone else would handle the details. Through treating family property the way you've treated family." Logan's face flushed. "That's not fair." "Isn't it?" I set down my glass. "When was the last time any of you asked about my work? Not with condescension, not with polite disinterest, but with genuine curiosity?" Silence. "When I made VP, I invited you all to the celebration. Mom sent regrets because it was too corporate. When I closed the Harrington deal, Dad asked if I was still enjoying playing with spreadsheets. When I had a miscarriage 3 years ago, Heather sent legal advice about workplace stress claims instead of flying to Chicago." Mom's face crumpled. "A miscarriage? You never told us?" "I did. I called you from the hospital. You sent a plant." The second course arrived seared scallops with truffle foam. No one touched them. "Your little corporate projects," Heather whispered, the words hanging between us. "God, Camille, I'm an idiot." We were intimidated, Mom admitted, tears welling. You outgrew us and we didn't know how to. We felt stupid around your success. Intimidation isn't an excuse for exclusion, I replied, the words practiced but no less true. I needed family, not fear. Dad straightened in his chair. Businessman to businessman. How much for the lake house? We'll buy it back. Fair market value. It's not for sale. I placed my napkin beside my plate. But it's available for family gatherings and terms we'll negotiate like adults. Terms? Logan asked. Yes, Logan. Terms. Like when you borrow money, there are terms for repayment. Like when you share property, there are terms for maintenance. Like when you're family, there are terms for respect. Heather's husband, Mark, silent until now, spoke up. What are your terms for the lake house? I smiled, genuine for the first time. First, acknowledgement. Not just of ownership, but of accomplishment. Second, participation equal contributions to maintenance and improvements. Third, scheduled access with proper notice. Fourth, respect for boundaries. That sounds reasonable, Mark nodded. Of course it's reasonable, I said. I'm a professional negotiator. Dad started to speak, but I raised my hand. One more thing. Heather's email about my little corporate projects was the last time anyone will minimize my accomplishments. They've learned the cost of underestimating family. The crystal glasses clinked softly as the dessert arrived, delicate chocolate structures with gold leaf. Logan stared at his plate, then at me. You didn't have to go this far to make a point. Didn't I? I asked, meeting his gaze. Would anything less have made you see me? No one answered, but their silence was enough. At the present, the Vancouver harbor sparkles beneath my penthouse windows, sunlight dancing across water in a rhythm that feels like validation. 6 months after I claimed the lake house, the waters here offer a different kind of peace-zone I've earned rather than inherited. I trace my finger along the mahogany frame of my Wharton diploma, now prominently displayed between the framed Wall Street Journal feature and the lake house deed. No dust gathers on these achievements anymore. They breathe in the open air of recognition. My phone buzzes, with a notification from the lake house security system. Someone entered using the authorized code I gave my family. The smart camera activates, showing Heather placing fresh flowers in the entryway. A small gesture, but loaded with meaning. The guestbook beside her shows weekend visits now scheduled with military precision family time parceled into manageable doses that honor both connection and boundaries. Miss Walker, your 10 o'clock video call is ready, announces my assistant through the intercom. I straighten my emerald wrap dress and settle behind my desk. The Vancouver skyline frames me perfectly in the camera's eye, a deliberate backdrop choice. Success should look like something. Camille, congratulations on the Peterson acquisition, says Thomas, my former boss and now peer. The board is impressed with how smoothly you're transitioning to the Vancouver office. Thank you. It's been a productive quarter. No minimizing, no deflecting, just clean acceptance of truth. The meeting concludes with approvals for my proposed M&A mentorship program. 30 days until launch. 30 days to formalize what took me years to learn. Success shared thoughtfully is more powerful than success hoarded defensively. After the call, I walk to the glass display case near my home office. Inside sits the small brass key to my childhood bedroom at the lake house, mounted in a shadow box alongside the property purchase documents. The key that once opened doors to a space where I felt invisible now stands as testament to visibility. I press my palm against the glass, feeling the cool surface warm beneath my touch. Still worth every penny? Savannah asks, appearing in my doorway with 2 coffee cups. She hands me one, perfectly calibrated with the exact ratio of cream I prefer. This is what real family does. They notice. They remember. The lake house? I take the coffee. More than worth it, though not for the reasons I originally thought. Savannah settles into my designer sofa, kicking off her heels with the comfortable familiarity of true friendship. Oh? The harbor waves crash against the seawall below, their steady rhythm punctuating my thoughts. Unlike the chaotic family patterns of my past, these waves follow rules of nature. Predictable. Reliable. I bought it to make a point, I say, watching a sailboat tack against the wind. But keeping it taught me something better. That revenge is best served with granite countertops and smart home technology. I laugh. A sound that comes easier these days. Those boundaries aren't just walls we build to keep people out, they're frameworks that show others how to come in properly. My phone lights up with a text from Logan. A photo of him standing beside Rosa at the lake house, both holding up paint samples for what appears to be the guest bathroom. The message reads, "Rosa says the blue is basic, but I think it works. Your call, since you actually know what you're doing." No sarcasm, no dismissal of my expertise, just simple acknowledgement. I show Savannah the text, and she raises an eyebrow. From the brother who once called your corporate career playing business? People rise or fall to meet your expectations, I reply, typing back my preference for Rosa's more sophisticated option. The woman in my harbor view mirror looks both familiar and evolved, confident, without defensiveness, successful without apology. The shadows under her eyes have softened, the tension in her shoulders has released. She no longer screenshots passive-aggressive emails as evidence in a case she's building against her family. She no longer needs to. I open my laptop and review the contract for the mentorship program. The initiative targets women whose business instincts face doubt from family or colleagues. Women who, like me, needed someone to say, "Your ambition isn't something to apologize for." "Do you ever miss Chicago?" Savannah asks, watching me work. I miss parts of it, I admit. But this view reminds me daily that horizons expand when you demand the space to grow. My inbox pings with an email from Heather. The sound no longer makes me flinch. Subject: Next reunion theme. Next reunion theme. Celebrating Camille's Vancouver promotion. We're thinking formally this time. Mom wants to know if you'd prefer fall or winter. I type back, "Perfect. I'll handle the venue. You bring genuine enthusiasm instead of patronizing emails." Then add, "Fall. The harbor light is exceptional in October." Savannah reads over my shoulder and smiles. "Look at you, setting terms without setting fires." Revenge wasn't proving them wrong about my worth, I say, closing my laptop. It was proving to myself that I could set boundaries and still choose love. The shadow box containing my old key catches the afternoon light, casting a small, perfect rectangle of gold across my desk, calendar illuminating the date of the next family gathering. Sometimes the best revenge is giving people the chance to do better, I tell Savannah, after you've made it clear that doing worse is no longer an option. She raises her coffee cup in a toast. To lake houses and lessons learned. I clink my cup against hers, watching the harbor boats navigate their careful paths through the weight reach, one respecting the boundaries of the others, finding freedom within the lines.